Africa in flames. The ongoing conflicts shaping a continent of promise and turmoil. Africa is a continent of extraordinary beauty, deep history, immense natural wealth, and unmatched cultural diversity. From the deserts of the Sahara to the jungles of Central Africa, from the coasts of the Indian Ocean to the Atlantic shores, Africa holds 1.4 billion people and some of the fastest-growing populations in the world. Yet beneath its vibrant cultures and economic potential lies a harsh reality: conflict. Today, more than 20 armed conflicts are ongoing across the continent. Some are civil wars, some are extremist insurgencies, others are political power struggles, ethnic clashes, or battles over resources. This documentary explores the major conflict zones shaping Africa's present and future. Sudan, a nation torn apart again. In 2023, Sudan descended into chaos once more. A violent power struggle erupted between the Sudanese armed forces and the Rapid Support Forces. Cities became battlefields. Khartoum turned into a war zone. Millions were displaced. Hospitals collapsed. Ethnic violence returned in Darfur. The roots of Sudan's instability go back decades, from military dictatorships to the Darfur genocide. After longtime ruler Omar al-Bashir was removed in 2019, hopes rose for democracy. But those hopes were shattered. Today, Sudan faces one of the worst humanitarian crises in the world. Democratic Republic of the Congo, endless war. The Eastern Democratic Republic of the Congo has been unstable for nearly 3 decades. The region is rich in minerals, cobalt, gold, coltan, resources essential for smartphones and electric vehicles. But wealth has become a curse. More than 100 armed groups operate in eastern Congo. The resurgence of the M23 rebel group has reignited fighting. Civilians are trapped between militias, government forces, and foreign interests. Millions have died since the late 1990s. Millions more remain displaced. Despite UN peacekeepers and international involvement, peace remains fragile. Ethiopia, from unity to internal strain. Ethiopia, once seen as a rising African power, experienced devastating war between federal forces and the Tigray region. Although a peace agreement was signed, tensions remain high. Other regions, including Oromia and Amhara, face unrest and armed resistance. Ethiopia's ethnic federal system, designed to manage diversity, has instead fueled identity-based conflict. The scars of war remain visible. Somalia, the longest insurgency. Somalia has faced instability since 1991, when the central government collapsed. Today, the main threat comes from al-Shabaab, an extremist group linked to al-Qaeda. The Somali government, supported by African Union forces, continues to fight insurgents. Despite progress in reclaiming territory, bombings and attacks remain common. Somalia's instability affects the wider Horn of Africa and global maritime security. The Sahel crisis, Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger. Across the Sahel region, extremist violence has surged dramatically. In Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, military coups have replaced civilian governments. Jihadist groups exploit weak governance, poverty, and vast desert terrain. Villages are attacked, civilians flee, entire regions are outside state control. The Sahel has become one of the fastest-growing conflict zones in the world. Nigeria, multiple security crises. Nigeria, Africa's most populous country, faces layered conflict. In the northeast, Boko Haram and Islamic State West Africa province continue insurgency. In the northwest, armed bandits conduct kidnappings. In central regions, farmer-herder clashes escalate due to climate pressure and land competition. Though Nigeria has Africa's largest economy, insecurity threatens its stability. Libya, a divided state. Since the fall of Muammar Gaddafi in 2011, Libya has been divided between rival governments. Armed militias control territory. Foreign powers have intervened. Despite ceasefires, political reconciliation remains uncertain. Libya's instability impacts migration routes and regional security. Mozambique, insurgency in Cabo Delgado. Northern Mozambique has faced Islamist insurgency since 2017. Attacks have targeted civilians and gas infrastructure. Regional forces from southern Africa have intervened. Though violence has reduced in some areas, militants remain active. Central African Republic, fragile peace. The Central African Republic has experienced cycles of rebellion for years. Rebel coalitions fight government forces. Foreign mercenaries have entered the conflict. Though elections were held, security remains unstable in many regions. Cameroon, the Anglophone crisis. In Western Cameroon, separatists seek independence for the English-speaking regions. Clashes between government forces and separatists have displaced hundreds of thousands. The conflict receives less global attention, but continues to cause suffering. South Sudan, peace under pressure. The world's youngest country gained independence in 2011. But internal power struggles led to civil war. Though peace agreements exist, political rivalry and ethnic divisions persist. Why so many conflicts? Several factors drive Africa's conflicts. Colonial-era borders, grouping rival communities together. Weak institutions and governance. Military coups. Poverty and unemployment. Competition over natural resources. Climate change increasing land and water disputes. Foreign interference. Extremist ideology. Each conflict has unique causes, but patterns repeat. Human cost. Across Africa, tens of millions displaced. Severe food insecurity. Collapsing health systems. Child soldiers recruited. Women facing sexual violence. Entire generations growing up in war. Africa hosts some of the world's largest humanitarian crises. Hope amid conflict. Despite turmoil, Africa is not defined only by war. Many countries remain stable and growing. Regional organizations like the African Union work toward mediation. Young populations demand reform. Peace processes continue in multiple nations. History shows that conflicts eventually end. Conclusion: Africa at a crossroads. Africa stands at a critical moment. Will instability spread? Or will reform, governance, and development turn the tide? The continent's future depends on leadership, international cooperation, and the resilience of its people. Africa's story is not only one of conflict, but of endurance, survival, and hope.